TA.
Good evening. Tonight we are highlighting our 4th, 5th, and school psychologist teams. Our 4th grade classes are currently learning about plant and animal structures in their science classes. They are excited for their upcoming Shed Aquarium field trip, where they will learn about the various structures of a squid when they participate in a squid dissection. Anyone want to volunteer for that field trip? Our 5th graders just recently got back from their field trip to the Paramount Theater, where they saw The Sound of Music. They are busy in their classrooms learning geometry and improving their daily writing skills, which includes their informational country essays. Our school psychologist, Dr. Lucas Nihe, who is here tonight, has been busy facilitating monthly executive skills workshops where she meets monthly with a group of our pre-K through 3rd grade teachers. These informative workshops focus on skills needed to be a successful student. The skills of organization, task initiation, response inhibition, and sustained attention, just to name a few. She recently attended the National Association of School Psychologists in Denver, where she attended sessions that covered various topics, including the most recent advances in assessments, data analysis, and current issues in special education law. She would like to thank Allison Cerrone and Rachel Chorley for approving and supporting this wonderful professional development opportunity, and she can't wait to share all of the resources from the convention with her coworkers. Thank you.
Okay. Heather, MCSA. I think they're here. MEF. PTA. Going down the list. Okay. Board of Education. Okay. Next up is Dr. Shaw with the Fund 21 presentation.
Okay, so every year we do a Fund 21 referendum analysis per our board policy, our specific board policy for the limiting rate referendum. So this is our 3rd year through, so we'll go through the analysis. So according to our board policy, we have to have 6 things that we report out on an annual basis. The current year's estimated proceeds, the expenditures from last year, the estimated expenditures for the current fiscal year, status of the projects that are underway, and description of the proposed projects for next year, and then the updated master's facility plan. Number 6, you will see next month. Our architect will be here next month to present out with our integrated design team with the architect and the engineering firm. They'll be here to address number 6 next month. Here's the policy. Everybody can look at that policy. And then our identified expense, we really targeted warm, safe, and dry. So number 1, the first bullet is current year's estimated proceeds. So you can see what this year's proceeds are. Last year, our FY22, so it's based off of our audit. And last year, if everybody remembers, we had the additional local tax revenue because the year previous, the county held back because of how they had COVID for property taxes. So there's always going to be a bump in 22 as we go forward and when we look back. And there's the 3-year revenue projection, the assumptions with the CPI, where you know that we are going to be looking at 2 years of 5%. And then as we look out, reverting back to the norm of 2% CPI in FY26. The audited expenditures for FY22, part of what the board has asked and the finance committee is that we addressed Fund 21 all the way down to the dollar. And so you can see what the actual expenditures were all the way down to the dollar. We usually have about 1.8, 1.9 million. We didn't spend as much as we budgeted in FY22 because of all those bumps we felt along the roads, because we did do a road and a parking lot and concrete, stone quarry strikes, supply chain issues. So we didn't spend everything that we had budgeted in FY22, so we had big fund balance. So when we look at FY23, we're going to have more expenditures than the 1.8. Our audited expenditures for FY22, so this is also the bullet point number 2. What did we spend? You can see here's exactly the amount that we spent. And then we break it down by building, MES, MIS, MJ, and then district-wide. District-wide, we'll break that down into site-based accounting next year, a little more detailed. And then the next probably 6 slides are broken down into every invoice so we can have complete transparency and you can see what every invoice that was paid out of Fund 21 is listed, whether it goes to a district-wide expense, an MES expense, and then we'll see MIS expenses and then MJ expenses. So at your leisure, you can take a look at what every one of those line items that were spent at those schools. Our budgeted expenditures for FY23, since we didn't spend so much, we're on a cash basis accounting system. Our FY23 budget number is at $4 million. One of the other directives that we've been given for Fund 21 is to spend everything and not carry fund balance. So the estimated proceeds for the year are over $4 million. Our expenses by function, there's a little bit of purple on top for safety and security. So that is our endpoint software. So our security software. The red is asphalt and site improvements. The green is a lot of what we do internally with Dave Rana and his crew doing some tuck pointing and lintel work, some floors, windows, doors. Internal work is some of that in the green. And the orange is construction and equipment. Like, for example, the chiller is going to fall into the orange. And then the blue is for our architect and engineering services. The status of projects that are funded. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
Can I stop?
Yeah.
So you said that the fiscal year 22 is at, is under about $1 million, but then our fiscal year 23 looks to be over more than that $1 million. So is that coming from prior year underspending? Or?
It is,
okay.
yeah, and the last slide will show you the history, yep. So the projects that are underway, we've got parking lots complete, the MES concrete works complete, MI complete. So we know the chiller looks like fall 24, the PFA classrooms pending board approval, completion of this fall. And then our self area unit vent replacement this fall. Our electrical and grounding work, again, this spring, and then pending board approval, the MES, MIS playground, parking lot, and access road, fall of 24. Thank you, fall of 24. Okay. And then our projections, again, this is what we have: safety, site improvements, maintenance, construction equipment, and then our engineering and architectural services going out. So that's where you can see what we didn't spend in 22 is really low, 23 is high, and then we are back to the 1.9, 2 million marker going forward. And then blue is the fund balance. So you can see in 21, we had a little over 500,000 in fund balance. So that should answer your question, where that extra money is coming from. So 21, we had some fund balance left over. 22, we had 2 million in fund balance. So 23, we have over 2 million deficit to spend that fund balance, which in 24, you see where the line closes in on the 0. And then we've got a little creep up as we project out revenue by 3% and expenses at about 2%. And the description of the projects to be funded, and then you can see the list of the projects that we have slated for funding for this year. And then next month, you'll see the capital plan. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. All right, next up, I think Dr. Cohen and the principals will give us a school improvement plan update.
Thank you. We'll stop sharing. Sorry, once I turned 40, my eyesight kind of went down.
Yeah, that's why I'm having you drive, because I'm a little further away. And then from the meet, I think you'll have to share that tab first.
So each of our schools has a school improvement plan. We're back. Okay.
Tried to enlarge that a little bit. It did not work.
Now, just if you go to the tab up top, go to the slideshow tab, all the way up to the top, and in the middle where the, where the blue dot is.
We'll do that.
The presentation tab all the way on the right, so the far right tab on top.
Yep.
Click on that. So just click on the, not on the blue dot, but there you go. Now click slideshow. All right, well,
I'm sorry. I will give it.
that's okay. So each school has a school improvement plan. And starting last year, we asked each building to come up with 2 goals. One goal was strictly academic, so picking an area of deficit and then using what data we have to address that area of deficit. And each of the schools are working on something related to ELA. And then the other goal is a culture goal, generally driven by the 5 essentials or by teacher feedback. The goal is to improve our performance by looking at things that we can do, high leverage strategies, things we know have a large effect size to improve student achievement by improving instruction. So with no further ado, we'll start with the goals from Mokena Elementary.
Thank you. Good evening. Our first goal was our culture goal, and the goal of our goal is to really develop collective efficacy, meaning we all are on the same page and we all understand what every grade level and every teacher in every classroom is doing and why we're doing it. So our 5 essentials data from last year reported that 59% of teachers had never observed in another teacher's classroom to get ideas for their own instruction. So our building leadership team felt like this was a great goal for us. So the goal is 1 team meeting per trimester will be designated as an observation opportunity. The team meeting part was a little challenging for us because we weren't really able to see, there was very specific times then, and some grade levels weren't able to see the kind of instruction that they wanted to. For example, there are teachers that really wanted to go to other grade levels to see what was happening in the phonics instruction. That's our big push this year. It's our big area of focus. So happy to say that 57% of our teachers have observed in another teacher's classroom at least once. So that's a good start. We got a little late start with this goal, but we're in progress right now. And it says 1 team meeting per trimester, but that's entered wrong. Actually, it's just twice a year. So the 1 team meeting per trimester was a little ambitious for us. And then all certified staff will complete a survey upon completion of an observation, and all of the ones that completed the observation have. The 57% is predominantly classroom teachers that have filled that out. So what we're still waiting on is for special ed teachers or related service providers to, like social workers, speech paths, to go in and observe each other. Goal 2 is reading fluency, and this has been a real interesting journey for us and kind of an interesting deep dive we've taken into our data. So the goal reads, by the spring FastBridge administration, each grade level will increase the number of students who meet or exceed the grade level benchmark by 10%. So that means reading fluency. And we use curriculum-based measures to track that data. But CBMR, for short, usually tracks rate and accuracy. Mostly rate is what's reported out on, but we have the opportunity to also track accuracy. So how fast is somebody reading and how accurately are they reading? We felt, our building leadership team feels that just using both is too broad. It's not giving us an actual good pulse on how phonics instruction is working. We want to make sure that our students are reading accurately, not just quickly. Because you can read a lot of words, but get a lot of them wrong. And so we want to make sure that they're reading, but what they're reading is right. And then ultimately, what they are reading, students are able to make meaning out of what they are reading. So the overemphasis on the reading rate, we were concerned that it wasn't giving us what we wanted to see. So as we are right now, 77% of second and third grade students are meeting benchmark norms for our curriculum-based measures. Of the 23% that did not meet the benchmark for rate, 58% of them met the benchmark for accuracy. So what this tells us is that our core phonics program is having a positive impact on our students' learning. Our students who are meeting the benchmark for that accuracy is growing. And that's what we want to see, because the foundational skills was a real issue for us that our teachers identified. So we're very pleased with that. In terms of what our benchmarks or our steps are, each grade level will use curriculum-based assessments to determine small groups based on skills for Tier 2 instruction. The update is that each grade level uses FastBridge data and classroom data to determine what type of reading support is needed, and Tier 2 interventions are 4 times a week for 30-minute sessions. So we've been reviewing data and moving students in and out of that Tier 2 intervention as appropriate. Each grade level team will review their progress every 8 weeks. That's ongoing, and that the administrators are monitoring the implementation of the 95% curriculum, and that is ongoing. So we're happy with the progress that we are making. It's going to be slow and steady until these current kindergartners go through the grade levels. I think that's really when we're going to start to see, some momentum and probably some more significant upward trends with our reading data. So we're happy. Any questions? No.
Questions from
Okay.
Mrs. Torley?
Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Our first goal at MIS had to do with collective responsibility, which is basically our staff and our students taking responsibility for everybody. The way that we went about, handling this is that we wanted the students to have more interaction with staff. We wanted the students to have more interaction with each other. It is challenging to measure this, to provide the data for that. I did take a look at our referrals from last year, this year, and they have decreased slightly, about 7 or 8%, it's a decrease. I mean, it's not huge, but it is a decrease. But just being in the building, we have more 4th graders talking to 5th graders. We have more teachers talking to students from different classrooms. So I think this really has made an impact within our building. Some of the things that we've done, we've continued our colleague observations. All of our staff have been into at least 3 classrooms. They've gone to their own classrooms, their own grade level classrooms. They've gone to the other grade level classrooms. Same content, different content. They're getting a chance to see lots of different teaching opportunities. Our teams, grade level teams cross grade level teams meet quarterly. So there's a group of 4th grade teachers that meet with a group of 5th grade teachers. The kids get together. I listed just a couple of the activities. They did a holiday craft. They've done board games. They did a STEM activity right before the holiday break. So it's really, a wonderful time. The kids are just interacting and just enjoying being with each other. The last bullet point that we have on there is giving time to discuss social emotional needs. And that is a big deal. We have a high need for that. And out of these discussions, we've had much more PD. Thanks to Allison, we've had one presenter come in already in January and presented on trauma-informed strategies and practices. We have another PD coming up in March and April, actually a 2-day, where we have a different presenter coming in and talking to our staff about the different practices. So it's really, and we have a big team. We have about, I think there's 15 people involved in the first one. There'll be 13 involved in the second one. So we really are developing a cohorts of, our experts who can help guide the rest of the school. So I think our building feels pretty good right now. Our second goal has to do with writing. And I know this is being successful because the kids are complaining about it. At recess the other day, had a group of kids come up and say, why do we have to write so much? And, well, because it's good for you. Most of our classrooms are having the students write every day. We've got all different kinds of writing opportunities, math journals, science journals, quick writes, which is just a quick little share your ideas, explanations, reasonings, it's all listed there. I'm not going to read it to you, but the students are writing, and the writing is getting better. We have Mrs. Horvat, who is here, is one of our ELA teachers. They've always written in ELA and always done a fabulous job. Now they're writing in math, they're writing in science, they're writing in social studies, and their writing is truly improving. One of the great things that the teachers are doing is they're having them go back and look at pieces that they've written earlier in the year, and the kids can really see their growth. So it truly is, making a huge difference. One of the nice things that we did, Craig Martinez from the junior high came over, a couple of teachers with Luke Munch and somebody else, but I don't remember who it was, met with our 5th grade teachers to talk about writing and what our kids for the junior high. So those are some ongoing conversations to make it, a more seamless transition to the junior high. I do want to thank Kristen, Dr. Johnson, for the PD she is providing for us for our early release days. We have presenters come in, they're talking all about writing in the content area, great conversations, great opportunities for staff collaboration, and probably what I truly enjoy the most out of this is the following day, on that Thursday following the early release, the presenter spends the day at our building and meets with small groups, meets with teachers where they can really dig into the meat of everything, how they can put what we practice in the classroom. So everything is moving along. I don't have any data as far as writing goes. That's coming soon, and it's going to be fabulous. I guarantee it. But I think things are going very well. Any questions?
No? Thank you. Mike?
So our first goal was the writing goal. We spoke about this before. Last year, this is a 3-year goal for us. So last year was year 1 where we were studying it, trying to decide what we were going to do exactly, how it was going to look in our classrooms. And you remember it's the CER, the claim, evidence, reasoning, writing style. We realized that based on our IAR data that we were way lower than we expected to be, and we would be able to, we wanted to be able to address that. It was really bad. So we wanted to make sure that we were definitely taking a proactive approach with this. So last year we planned on how we were going to do it this year. This year is the implementation of that plan. So in every classroom throughout the building, they're teaching them about CER and what that looks like, similar to what Dave's talking about at MIS. So they're talking about what this looks like. What does a claim, evidence, reasoning, writing style look like in our classes? And it's going extremely well. So they've all been introduced to it. We've already taken, in that second bullet, we've already taken two, and I wrote 3 because we're guaranteeing we're going to take 3, but we're most likely going to take 4 data collections. Our data collections, this year, one of our goals was to learn how to collect the data. What does it need to look like? How do we compare it? So from first collection to the second collection, we showed growth in the areas we were hoping to show, but we realized that we needed to update our rubrics and update our expectations and our prompts, because our kids, it's a nice thing to say, we're already getting a lot of it that we were teaching, so we needed to increase our expectations. So we're about to take our 3rd data collection just before IAR, where we are, it's not simulating exactly IAR, but it's kind of giving them that idea of this is what it's like to be given a prompt, to be giving some documentation that you need to read, and then you need to write for 25, 30, 40 minutes on that one subject. So we're pretty excited about it. It's going really well. Kids are even, they know the lingo. It's not just CER. Do you want a CER, ER? Do you want more evidence? Do you want more reasoning? How do you want that? So they're really buying into it, and I think our writing is going to really improve this year. I added on here because they kind of mesh together. That through Dr. Johnson's office, we're also at the junior high, in all of our subjects, we're working on curriculum maps, and that includes the CER initiative, but we're trying to have good, positive, clear curriculum maps all the way across the board so everybody understands where these things happen within our curriculum. So I put that in there as well. Our second goal was kind of a middle school culture goal. We looked at especially the book study that we did a year ago, and then the 5 essential survey from 2022. And what we decided to was definitely focus on communication. That seemed to be the one area throughout that we had a lot of questions about. So one of the things that I do now is we have a monthly curriculum meeting with the curriculum partners and myself, Mr. Munch, and we have various different guests. Dr. Johnson's been there. Our instructional coach has been there, where we talk about what they're doing in their classrooms right now and trying to give them, guidance on what we think they ought to be doing, having them do some reflective feedback. We've also, and those have been going fantastic, at least I think so. I'm not sure they always agree, but we do have some great conversations in there, and I think it ends up with some positive results. We also we're continuing to develop our ISA process. That's like our process for putting kids into interventions, taking kids out of interventions, recommending them for 504 plans and special ed. Hopefully that's going to dovetail right into our MTSS processes. We're trying to clean that up. We're meeting a lot more regularly. That was something that came out in both of those surveys that we were lacking, at least understanding it. And then the last part of our goal is to develop transitions between the high school and 8th grade, and then each grade up, 5th to 6th, 6th to 7th, 7th to 8th. And most of that's going to take place in the next 2 or 3 months. So we've already done a lot with the high school. All of you, I hope, enjoyed the open house that went last night. So kids are talking about it, quite a buzz. Actually, most of my 8th graders now think they're high school students because they know what their classes or at least are going to be for next year. But we're trying to make it so there's a smooth transition. A big chunk of that's going to take place in that last week of school because the 8th graders will be gone, and then we'll be moving 7th graders up into some 8th grade classes, meeting 8th grade teachers, 6th going up to 7th, 7th to 8th, and then we'll be working with Mr. McEntee to try to figure out how we're going to do that with the 5th graders coming over to the high school or junior high. That's it.
Any questions for Dr. Leonidas? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to information reports. First up is the Finance Committee update from Lisa.
So we met on Monday, February 13th, which was this last Monday. We reviewed the capital plan, and next month we're going to see the updated version, and WOLD and ESG will be with us again. We went over Fund 21, which obviously that wasn't as fun as the playground last month because nobody showed up. But, and we discussed student fees and lunches. We talked about that, or is that next one? It's in informational items, right? But can I say what it is? Okay. So for lunches, we decided to keep the fees at $2.50, and student fees at $2.50, not hot lunches. Student fees are $2.50, and school lunches are going to be $3.80, which is was 40 cents increase. And then next month, we will be meeting on March 13th. We'll be discussing the 5-year financial projection, and we will have, as I said, the updated capital plan, and WOLD and ESG will be with us again. And that's all I got. So.
That was a lot. We will have the 2 presentations next month.
Lisa. Next up is Dr. Cohen. Any questions for Dr. Cohen? Hearing none. Dr. Johnson.
Good evening. Just a quick summary of my February board report. I did provide an update regarding the professional learning that took place across the district in February. I gave some information regarding our MTSS committee and the work that they've done in the past few meetings that we've met, as well as the membership. There's many, many people to list, so you can see who those are, but I want to say thank you for their time and their dedication to this important work. I provided a K-5 ELA committee update regarding our program piloting. Thank you to our teacher in the audience who is piloting right now. They're doing a fantastic job. We hope to have an informational item with a recommendation in March, and then we'll have that curriculum on display for 30 days. I gave some information regarding our upcoming spring state assessments and the schedule for that, as well as some information regarding the Lincoln Way Area School District's articulation that has started back up again. So we've had great opportunity to be able to have some of our teachers observe at Central, as well as some of the Central teachers observe in our 8th grade and junior high classrooms, as well as some time to articulate with other feeder districts in certain content areas. So it's been great to be able to get that back up and running again and be able to talk with colleagues in the area.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Johnson? No? Okay, thank you. Ms. Cerrone is up next.
We've had some applications. We are working through a variety of issues. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Cerrone? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Dr. Shaw.
Good evening. Well, first I have some show and tell.
These are our new soap dispensers with our logos on them. They look very nice. I'd like to thank Dave for putting these together. The little red light is flashing because the soap is low. I'd like to also take a minute to introduce Kim Sapanchik as our new HR coordinator. She's come tonight, so after the meeting, I'll introduce her to those of you who would like to meet her. So we're very excited to have her join us. You've seen her resume and can see the extensive HR background that she's going to bring to Mokena. Very happy to have her. And the information items we have in here are about student lunch with Ms. Zielinski has talked about. And I did want to point out too, our ESG team, and that's in the audience, that we worked with them on a ComEd energy efficiency grant. And we got a reservation letter from Commonwealth Edison for a grant to $79,680 to offset some of that cost for the MJHS chiller. Doesn't guarantee us, but we have that allocated. So thanks to those team members in the back that worked toward that grant. Thank you. That's all I have to add to my report.
Any questions for Dr. Shaw? I just have a comment. I have 3 bathrooms in my house, so how do I get one of those for each one of the bathrooms?
Talk to Dave.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure my kids would like that or not, but that's all right. They look good.
I just have one item. It's the action item for tonight. We recommend, as the tech department, the newer model of Chromebook for the incoming 6th grade class. We really like it. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but they are newer. They'll have a faster processor in it. They have a better battery life by more than 2 hours, according to Lenovo, as well as the newer Wi-Fi card to match up with our new Wi-Fi system that we were beginning. And we believe that these Chromebooks will be really a great tool compared to the current 6th grade class, what they have. We think it might be even better to say, and we know that these Chromebooks are going to be around next year as the Generation 2s are phased out from stock. So that is what we are recommending, and that is all I have for this evening. Are there any questions on it?
What's the difference between the two?
You mean
Price difference.
about $100.
Any other questions, Mr. Henson? No? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, move on to principals' reports. Probably appropriate that Mrs. Chorley maybe goes first. Microphone.
Wanted to thank a lot of people that were really supportive of our school community this week. Just want to thank Dr. Johnson, Dr. Cohen, Stacy Kittler, Alexandria Pierrick, and of course Kathy Arduino for just being very supportive of the families and the students in the classrooms this week, and appreciate all of the support from our district administrators for just kind of helping us make it through the week. So we really and truly appreciate it. We have wonderful parents that have been helping, and these are only a few. Carissa Kaplan, Kelly McMillan, Michelle DiBernardi, and Lindsay Adanasio have been so supportive, and just a wonderful, wonderful community. Mokena is so supportive of each other, and if you never felt it before, you sure feel it now. Very, very grateful to everybody who has just pitched in and been there for each other. On a lighter note, I'd like to say that Kids Heart Challenge here at MES is now upwards of $39,000, which is crazy. A lot has been raised for this great cause, and again, Mr. H just kind of blew it out of the water. So he's been doing a great job with that, as well as Miss LeGrand and Miss Clifford, and Mr. Ruiz. So just wanted to give them a little shout out, and that's it. Thank you.
Any questions to Mrs. Chorley? Okay. We will move on then to Mr. McAtee.
Thank you. Nothing really additional to add. We just finished our Kids Heart Challenge as well, and we threw in another 16,000. So, between the two buildings, that's a whole lot of money going to the American Heart Association. So, very worthwhile cause that our kids are working towards. We know it's mostly parents, but it's filling that sense, giving back to the community. So, it really is a wonderful thing. The only other thing I want to do is invite you guys, if you ever want to go in the hamster balls. We do it once a month. Next Friday is the next day. So if you want to buzz by MIS next Friday afternoon, we'll throw you in one of the hamster balls for about 10 minutes and see how tired you get. That's all I got.
Questions from Mr. McAtee?
One size fits all, or are there like differences like a tall?
They are a whole lot of fun. Our teachers, we spent one extended day, the end just got around and played, and it's a blast.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McAtee. Dr. Laurinaitis?
Yeah, not too much to add. I failed to put in there, before our next board meeting, we'll have the March Melodies concert with the band over the junior high. I will let you know that the high school, Lincoln Way High School has invited our symphonic band to play with them. And I didn't write down the date, so it's early March. I can get that to you guys. But they're going to be playing at Lincoln Way. They've invited us. They started this thing. They started before the pandemic of having a symphonic band. That's our top band. Go over and play at the high school concert, and they have Martino come over as well. So they'll be their top band, our top band, and then the Lincoln Way bands. And then at the end, they get them all on the stage, and it's a utter chaos. Seems like 400 children trying to play their instruments and play a couple songs. So they're going to be doing that. I'll have to get that date for you. But our March Melodies concert is on March 7th. So, and like Dr. Cohen said, didn't really steal my thunder, Dr. Cohen, but the musical is coming up. So buy your tickets. There's still tickets left, and they have 3 showings. So please make sure if you want to see The Little Mermaid, it's going to be going on that the weekend of the 24th or the 25th. Yeah, 24th and 25th. And I will be very happy to have the boat out of my building. We've had the grotto and all that stuff since the pandemic started. If you remember, we were about a week away from the performance when the world shut down. So we'll be happy to get that stuff and hopefully sell it to somebody else so they can. Yeah, well, they take them. Sometimes they take it apart and recycle the materials. Sometimes they sell it to other organizations who are doing that play. You know.
We were alone in the house.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but I don't think Karen wants to keep that on the stage anymore. No. That's all I have.
Questions for Dr. Laurinaitis? Okay, thank you. Moving on then to Lincoln Way Area Special Education with Ms. Briscoe.
All right. On or off?
You're on.
On? Okay. Financially, there's nothing significant to report. Action items, we approved the ICN Master Services, which is the internet backup, our new internet backup. We approved the IMRF person. We needed another IMRF agent because one was on leave. Don't know when it's coming. They are coming back. So we approved the new IMRF agent. We approved a new bus lease for 2 years for 15 buses. Audiological services from with KSIC. We approved the school calendar to match up with Mokena. We adjusted just a couple of days in the summer that usually they get out around July 13th, but I think with the ESY program day now, they've moved it up to the 17th and 18th. And for the dismissal, and then we approved the termination of an employee. And that's all I have to report.
Any questions for Ms. Briscoe?
I have a quick one. Do we know if everybody's renewing, or has that not been determined yet, that all the groups that are part of it? Like I know Allison said we're like putting in our letter to renew. Is there And I forget what other groups are part of it.
The school districts?
Yeah, the different districts.
As far as we know, they are, yes.
Yeah, the deadline to withdraw from a program has come and gone.
Okay, so everybody's.
Yep, everybody's in. You're welcome.
Yes?
Price, I did overestimate. It's only a $74 price difference between the two models, so. Sorry.
How many? One? 195. Okay, thank you.
Okay, action requests. We will start with the approval of previous minutes.
I move to approve minutes from the January 18th, 2023 regular and closed session meetings as presented.
Second.
Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes?
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next up is district bills, and Mr. Dell had the honor.
Yes, I asked about 15 questions. I approved bills just over the amount of $517,000 in the month of February. My questions were asked and answered, so with that, I move to approve the monthly bills as presented.
Second.
Second by Jamie. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes. Mrs. Briscoe? Yes.
Okay, motion passed. It used to be a little bit longer. We're missing two members.
Yeah.
All right, next up is personnel.
I move to approve personnel recommendation 7C 1 through 4 as presented, subject to a successful background check if applicable.
Second.
Second by Jen. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes. Mrs. Briscoe? Yes. Mr. Bush?
Yes. So I think we would like to officially welcome Kim now. Officially. Next up is the consent agenda.
I move to approve consent agenda items 7D 1 through 5 as presented.
Second by Ms. Briscoe. Any discussion? Let's call the vote.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes. Mrs. Briscoe? Yes. Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next up is the policy revisions. I move to approve the policy revisions as presented. Is there a second? Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes. Mrs. Briscoe? Yes. Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next up is the approval for the preschool renovation.
I move to approve the proposal from Mold Architects and Engineers for the revised preschool for all renovation projects for an overall project cost not to exceed $242,630 as presented.
Second.
Second by Jamie. Any discussions? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski? Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Last is the approval of the playground options.
I move to approve playground option 2 for a total project cost not to exceed $1,642,300 as presented.
Second by Ms. Zelinski. Just to be clear for the public, that are the two options. That is the larger option of the two that were discussed. Kathy, please call the vote.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Riedel?
Yes.
Mrs. Staley?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next up is items for the March 15th agenda. I'm sure, Dr. Shaw, you always have some.
Have student fees for an action item, and we'll have 2 presentations next month, the financial projections and the capital plan.
We'll have an informational item regarding our K-5 ELA program curriculum.
I'll be presenting the initial staffing recommendation for the 23-24 school year.
I will have the action item for the purchase of the new sixth grade Chromebooks.
Okay. Never a dull moment here at Mokena 59. Okay, I don't think there's any follow-up or action items for the good of Mokena. I would just like to say that I thank the principals. Hopefully there's an abundance of pink tomorrow at the schools. I know we've already discussed my 8th grader, and she's got the outfit ready to go. So hopefully it's flooded with pink. And I got my pink shirt. I'll be in Oak Brook, but I still have my pink shirt on, so I will be remote. So if anyone wants to, yeah, I can maybe send a picture or something. But okay, anything else for good Mokena?
I would like to, Mrs. Turley took a lot of time to thank a lot of people today that helped this week. And unfortunately, you didn't thank yourself. So I would like to thank you for all that you have done for our school community this week as well.
Okay. Anything else for the good Mokena? Okay. Try to say it properly here. Move that Board of Education adjourn to closed session for purposes of no action after closed session.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dell. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Riddell.
Yes.
Mrs. Staley.
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski. Yes. Mrs. Briscoe. Yes. Mr. Bush.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Hopefully there's not too much snow.
Yeah, it was bad.
I gotta